Okay, welcome back. 2023 NFL Mock Draft Simulator. This time we're going to be going over the Cincinnati Bengals. Before I begin, let me just say no more college basketball predictions during these mock draft videos. My God. Yikes. I did, in fairness, watch 0 games of college basketball before the tournament. I just thought it was Gonzaga's year. They made it to the Elite Eight. I guess everyone else's brackets fried anyway, so what's it really matter? But man, tough scenes, tough scenes. Anyway, Cincinnati Bengals time. We've done the Chiefs, we've done the Eagles, we've done the 49ers. When it comes to the Chiefs, it's been a long week, man. I'm so tired. When it comes to the Bengals, Duke Tobin, he's very predictable. I don't know if it's necessarily a GM thing. Maybe it's an ownership thing because it seems like every Bengals GM does the same thing under Mike Brown. It's very Kevin Colbert, which is a Steelers guy, I know, but you sit there, you make your picks, and you make the best of it. That's the Bengals' philosophy heading into this draft. They have their first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round picks. They don't have anybody else's picks. They didn't trade any away. That's what the Bengals do pretty much every year, regardless of who's the coach, who's the GM, just how it works all the time. You can go back and look. I don't remember the last time they made a draft day trade. I'm sure you can find one because I'm sure they traded at some point. I just can't think of it, but it's very, very rare that they're involved in a draft day trade. So we'll keep that in mind. Of course, you know me. I like to trade down if I can, if it makes sense to. I don't like to trade up, but when it comes to the Bengals, we're definitely not trading up because I know they won't trade up. So keep that in mind for everything. Let's get into it. I think I'm just going to do 3 rounds for this one because it's pretty straightforward. Don't have anybody else's pick. We're working at the back. We don't have a ton of needs. It's a pretty good roster. Just got to, keep putting the pieces around Joe Burrow. We'll get over the hump, and I believe in us. I believe in us as the Bengals head honcho for today. We'll see how it goes. Who knows who'll fall? It's a different simulation every single time. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Imagine if Jalen Carter goes 17. It'd be so ridiculous. Okay. Move down one spot. I mean, I like moving down one spot. Here comes the dog. How about next year's 6? Wow. I mean, there's no point. Honestly, based on what's here, we don't pick for a long time, man. I'd like to move down one spot, but it's just right now it just doesn't make sense. Can you do that? Can you do honestly, since it's a Bengals mock, I might just stay here. I think we'll just stay here and make a pick. Honestly, we're the Bengals. They don't trade anyway. I feel like it's probably the most realistic scenario where they're just going to sit here and take the best guy. If we're being honest with all of the things that the Bengals have and all of the things that the Bengals need to do, taking Nolan Smith here isn't a bad outcome. If you're just going to sit here and pick, like I know the Bengals will, they'll sit here at 28. You can put this in a book. They'll sit here in 28 and pick. So why don't we do it? We'll play the role of Duke Tobin. It's not really a trade offer that I like anyway. It's who the Bengals are. Nolan Smith, you can add another pass rusher to this team. I think it's a very advantageous landing spot. They already have Trey Hendrickson. They already have DJ Reader in the middle. You get another pass rusher on this team. And the offensive line at this point, after adding Orlando Brown, you can have Jonah Williams play right tackle or Lyle Collins play right tackle and move one of them in the guard. Why not Nolan Smith? Big time monster recruit, by the way, Nolan Smith. Big time monster recruit. And at the end of the first round, this is kind of what you're looking for, right? You're looking for a guy that you feel like has a huge ceiling that maybe hasn't quite realized it yet. But at the back of the first round, this is what, you kind of have to look for. So having a pass rusher like Nolan Smith, and there are pass rushers, like we can take a look at it, like there are pass rushers, but I genuinely feel strong that he's going to end up being worth it at the end. And he's such a monster recruit, and his speed is so dynamic, and the combine performance that he had. I mean, he really didn't have a combine performance other than running out of his mind. So I think we'll go Nolan Smith, and I think the upside here makes this pick really worth it. So little thought process behind all that. How about the Mozzie Smith stuff? Do you guys remember when I did the Chiefs one? We got him in the third round. He's been shooting up the board in this simulator stuff. So I find that kind of interesting too. Just to make a note of it. It's the Bengals. We'll sit here and make a pick. Why not? Unless it really makes sense. And honestly, I don't think that does. I don't think this does make sense. I think this is an easy pick too. Let's play the role of the Bengals. Why not? We've already started doing it. This is the role of the Bengals. We'll sit here and make the best pick possible. It's what they do. They don't trade up. They don't trade down. You can go wait until draft day. How many trades will the Bengals make on draft day? The over-under is probably 0.5, I would say. If you get one trade, you hit the over. I would set that as the line. When it comes to the Bengals, it's actually kind of interesting because Tui Pelotu would actually make a lot of sense, but we already just took a pass rusher. If you kind of go back, Darnell Washington would actually make a lot of sense for this team. He's somebody that, if you're really looking at things, the Bengals could use a tight end. And in this offense, he could really kind of develop and be more of a blocker at the start and then work on his receiving stuff after. If you're the Bengals, Darnell Washington would make a lot of sense, but I would want to trade down a couple spots to do that. Just, explaining everything as if we are the Bengals, we're inside the war room, who they might want to target. I think in this instance, a guy like Clark Phillips makes a lot of sense at 60. You can never have enough corners. And when it comes to the Bengals, it's not like their cornerback unit is elite. Having a couple more secondary guys that you can trust is going to matter here, especially after losing Bates. And there's not a safety that you kind of want to pull the trigger here. I think the talent gap between Phillips and Skinner is pretty wide. So, and he's a physical corner. If you go back and watch that USC game, the Pac-12 championship game, he did an awesome job covering Jordan Addison. And I don't think enough people are hyping up Clark Phillips. I think in the second round, he's a really, really solid selection. And I think he's way better than his Stevenson. So Stevenson, he's a former Georgia transfer. So I know he has talent, but I didn't love his movement skills at the combine. I think Clark Phillips will be a good player. And when the Bengals are on the clock, they usually turn in the card. So let's do it. Clark Phillips, we get another secondary guy. We've really beefed up this defense. Seems like a Bengals draft. I think you have to be excited about this if you're a Bengals fan. I think when it comes to the Bengals, this is the kind of stuff they do. They look for the best guy available. They turn the card in. And if there's two guys that can upgrade this defense, coming away with Nolan Smith and Clark Phillips isn't a bad outcome. So I think we've done pretty well here, all things considered. And if that's the only trade offer, we can go ahead and reject that. We're kind of in an interesting spot here. We are in an interesting spot. Yeah, we have no comp pick, so this is the only pick we got. Just wanted to double check. Christopher Smith would make some sense. but I don't quite know if he's this good. I think I'd rather have him around later, to be totally honest with you. We've taken a corner. I mean, Achane is staring us in the face. I know what we're gonna do. I know exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this Luke Whippler. The Bengals, the offensive line keeps getting better here. I know they have a center right now. What the fuck is his name? Ted Karras. That's it. That's their center. I don't think Ted Karras should prevent us from landing a long-term option at the position. And Luke Whippler, I do think the Michigan guy is better. But in this instance, you keep the Ohio guy in Ohio. I think the track record on Ohio State centers like Corey Linsley, the Ohio State centers have panned out in the past. And the guy Green Bay just took. Why can't I think of his name? I can't think of his name right now. The guy that Green Bay just took is from Ohio State too. The track record on these Ohio State centers is awesome and off the charts. So I think Whippler here to further improve the offensive line makes a lot of sense. I did think about going Achane, who just went off the board. But hey, that's a Bengals draft right there, if I've ever seen one. That right there is a Bengals draft. Who is it a Bengals draft? After that, I'm sure the Bengals want to maybe get one more linebacker in the later rounds. They've done that in the past. Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, 2 hits of theirs. I would expect them to take a linebacker in maybe the 4th or 5th round. In terms of other things I expect them to do, I'm sure they'll take a running back, probably somewhere in the 6th, 7th round. They've done this in the past. Williams, Texas A&M guy that they still have. They like to take some shots at running backs, so I would expect them to take one. I'm actually surprised they haven't signed Zeke Elliott. I think he is the one place I think he would make a lot of sense, especially because he can pass protect too. That's your Bengals draft. That's your Bengals draft. We sat there like Duke Tobin. We made the picks. We come away with the best guys that we can. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. And you Bengal fans out there, you guys know you're not going to trade. You're not going to trade unless it's so advantageous for them. We know what the Bengals are at this point. They don't trade. They never like to trade. So let me know what you think. I don't think this is the best draft that we could have done, but for the Bengals to come away with 2 impact guys on the defensive side of the ball, further improve the offensive line, what more could you ask for? So that's your Bengals 2023 NFL Mock Draft Simulator. Again, all part of the War Room series, VendettaSportsMedia.com. Make sure to check out all of our draft content. Till next time, we'll see you soon.